Hey guys, Bugcat7 here. Okay, it is Tuesday, February 19th, 2019. I want to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I know you guys got a lot of videos to watch, and I hope I'm providing some decent content in between trying to explain my position. And you might enjoy and be interested in some of my videos on my channel. If you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe. And please do hit the like button, guys. I would really appreciate that very much if you kindly would. Thanks ahead of time. Okay, so today I'm going to get into a topic, sort of off topic from, the topic of my channel. But the reason why I'm doing it, besides the fact that I've been wanting to do a video of this particular subject matter for a long time. And I've known about it for a long time because I've been very interested in the whole UFO subject. But I drifted away from that for a lot of different reasons. This is one of them. But also because of the History Channel mantra that anything that can't be explained on this planet has to be, accomplished. The only way it could have been accomplished was, aliens did it. So I'm not down with that. I'm not down with the History Channel mantra. I think it's a distraction from what the real story is, and I think I want to talk about that today. Okay? I mentioned in my last video, Research Logic, about, UFOs, and we all know what the UFO topic is all about. I'm sure, just about everybody on this planet is interested in that. But we know what the standard topic is, the Carl Sagan, government apparatchik approved, notion of what UFOs are, they're craft that come from another, world, and they have, alien type humanoid creatures inside, or whatever it is, okay? I'm not saying that it isn't possible. It certainly is possible, but the possibility seems so remote to me because I just find it inexplicable why any aliens of any intelligence would not want to speak to us, okay? But that aside, let's get into this topic a little bit, and it has to do with this fellow, okay, who wrote a book, and the guy's name was Trevor James Constable, okay? And I'll just read a little bit about him from this Wikipedia article, but this Wikipedia article is leaving some stuff out, and I mean, it's a sure sign they want to bury this aspect of the UFO topic. I'm sorry, guys, I hate to say it, but, I'm not quite like Matt from Quantum of Conscience, who's like, everything is bullshit, okay? I'm not quite there yet. I'm where, most everything is bullshit, because my shit ain't bullshit, so, it can't be everything. So, but in his Matt's cat, Belle. Can you see Belle there? Beautiful beauty there. And I just noticed that Matt's icon here is the centipede's mask from the 5 Deadly Venoms. All right, Matt, he's a Chop Socky fan. I went actually to the theater in 1972 to see the first martial arts film from China, on, mainstream sort of stuff. And it was the 5 Fingers of Death with the guy who played Bai Mei in the 5 Deadly, in Fist of the White Lotus. So, in any case, I'm not quite with Matt yet where everything is bullshit, but it's almost that. So anyway, about this guy, Trevor James Constable, he wrote a book, okay, called, if we get to it, okay, this is just another book of his called The Cosmic Pulse of Life, about creatures that live in the sky, okay? But his first book was they live in the sky, okay, in 1959, okay, and just so happens that the Wikipedia article here leaves that little bit of information completely out of this article here, okay, so red flag number one, guys. This, they've been trying to bury this notion about UFOs, and to me, it seems like the most rational explanation for this. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to tell you why I think what I think. And of course, you can disagree or whatever it is. If you're going to give me, mainstream UFO stuff, I know all about that stuff. I've been into that UFO stuff for years. Okay, know all about it. You don't have to try to convince me on any of those grounds because I already know about it, okay? This is where I'm at. And I knew about this book, They Live in the Sky, since like 1999 or something like that. I've known about Trevor James Constable and his books, okay? Cosmic Pulse of Light, all right? And the research that he did, okay? So let me just read a little bit about from this article in Wikipedia that does not mention they live in the sky. That was a little comment from Chuck from CF Apps. I have to give a shout out to him and thank him for promoting my channel on his latest video about El Tajín, the site in Mexico that I did a video on. Matt just did a video on too. I'll put a link to his channel and a video in the description too. All right, so let's talk about Trevor James Constable and what they call sky beasts and atmospheric organisms. Okay, that I bet that a lot of people into UFOs probably never even heard of, and people who are not certainly never heard of it because they've been trying to bury this one for a long time, guys. Okay. And there's got to be reasons for that, okay? If Carl Sagan and the History Channel are promoting this notion of UFOs and everything, I'm sorry, but you have to be suspect of it. Years and years ago, 20 years ago on the History Channel, I probably was one of the only people who remembers this, but the History Channel came out with a disclaimer. And the disclaimer was, this little couple-minute piece they did that said, because they got into trouble. They presented something on the channel that historians took issue with and all this kind of stuff, and they were threatening the History Channel and whatnot, and they had to put this to rest. So they came out with a disclaimer that said, whatever we present on the History Channel isn't necessarily history, okay? This is for entertainment purposes only. That's it, okay? So just realize that. I bet you very few people can remember that, but I was sitting there watching the History Channel when they came out with that short disclaimer that they had there like 20 years ago. All right, so let's get back to Trevor James Constable and the atmospheric organisms and all that kind of stuff. Let me read this little bit to you here, this hit piece from Wikipedia, the Baloney Online Encyclopedia. Okay, let's see what they got to say here. Okay, Trevor James Constable was an early UFO writer who believed that the UFO phenomenon was best explained by the presence of enormous amoeba-like animals inhabiting Earth's atmosphere. A native of Wellington, New Zealand, he served 31 years at sea, 26 of them as a radio officer in the U.S. Merchant Marine. He authored several books on the aerial warfare of World War II, together with co-author Raymond Tolliver. These works have been described as uncritical and not grounded in historic realities by several historians. And that is because the historians of today do not have an understanding of the historians in the past. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit. I'll give you the authorship here. From all the talk. Constable was an author who produced 10 non-fiction books, many well-known aficionados of famed fighter aces. His co-author in these works was Raymond Tolliver, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and official historian of the American Fighter Aces Association. Their work on German fighter ace Erich Hartmann, the Blonde Knight of Germany, was described by historians Ronald Smelzner and Edward J. Davies in their work, The Myth of the Eastern Front, as a quote-unquote hallmark of Romanization, with its quote-unquote insidious title suggesting medieval chivalry that, quote, not only fails to characterize the conduct of the Wehrmacht during the Soviet-German War, but indeed marks its opposite, unquote. Okay? I'm not going to even read the rest of it. He doesn't understand, these people don't understand that years ago there was an etiquette, okay, with writing. All right. If you're gonna go and interview German World War II aces or whoever they are, and then talk about their dirty deeds or whatever, and then go interview American fighter aces, right? Are you gonna put their dirty deeds in there too? Probably not. Okay. And the whole notion that we didn't do that kind of stuff is complete baloney. Okay. Complete baloney, all right? So lots of bad stuff happened, okay? Maybe not the exact same bad stuff like the Russians did, according to historians, whoever they were, okay? So let's get to the UFO hypothesis, all right? Enough with that. Like C.W. Saran, there's a gentlemanship. You start talking, look, I finish my point. You start talking dirty about one set of guys, you're going to have to start talking about dirty about another set of guys. So are you going to get your interviews of World War II fighter aces if you start talking dirty about all of them or whatever? No. So you're not going to do that. You're going to talk about them in this respect so you can get their interviews and hear their historical accounts, whatever kind of scumbags they were, and who the fuck knows, I don't know. But look, there was an etiquette back in the day, like Saram too, okay? It's like roundabout ways of criticizing and everything. Now we do whatever we want, but they didn't do it back then. For publishing reasons, okay? Like Jonathan Swift in A Modest Proposal. Why would you want to give his name, okay? Yeah, if you don't know about Jonathan Swift, the author of Gulliver's Travels, okay, he wrote this thing when the Irish were starving to death. The British weren't helping them at all. So Swift came out with this anonymous little booklet here that suggested that they should roast them and eat them, okay, to make all the British people in charge there feel guilty, okay? If he would have gave his name, he would have been blacklisted, okay? And that's why they did these sort of things, all right? There's reasons. All right, so back to this. Okay. UFO hypothesis. After reading about radionics in Wilhelm Reich's Oregon, Constable became convinced that supposed UFOs were in fact living organisms. He set out to prove his theory by taking a camera with him, fitted it with an ultraviolet lens and high-speed film. The process pictured shows signs of discoloration. Okay, that's what they say it was, which Constable insisted were proof of amoeba-like animals inhabiting the sky. This isn't a very intelligent guy, okay? He's a very intelligent guy. Again, this article is a hit piece. They're making him out to look ridiculous and stupid and just a blemish on the film and everything. This guy repeated this experiment over and over and over again with different cameras and fresh film and all. Look, again, it's the Wikipedia, the bullshit online encyclopedia. Okay, so, but, some of the things they describe are good enough. All right, so reviewing his newfound quote-unquote evidence, Constable was moved to write in his two books that the creatures, though not existing outside the, quote, infrared range of the electromagnetic spectrum, unquote, had been on this earth since it was more gaseous than solid. He claimed that the creatures belonged to a new offshoot of evolution, that the species should be classified under macrobacteria. According to Constable, the creatures would be the size of a coin or as large as a half a mile across, or I think bigger. The biology of these creatures supposedly meant that they were visible to radar, even when not naked to the eye, to explain supposed cattle and occasional human mutilations. Constable theorized that the use of radar angered the organisms, who would become predatory when provoked. At a later date, a cryptozoologist officially classified these supposed creatures as Amoeba constablia, named after their discoverer. Constable wrote a book entitled The Cosmic Pulse of Life in 1975 that outlined his ideas, okay? And then they talk about his work on atmospheric engineering with the orgone technology of Wilhelm Reich. But we're not talking about that stuff, okay? You can read about it and look at it, or get his books. And, read about it. There's a PDF online. I think there's a couple PDFs. Okay, so that's the Wikipedia hit piece on him and whatnot. So let's take a look at a different article that'll tell you a little bit more about this guy, Trevor James Constable, and what he thought. And that, I don't know if it's this one or this other article over here. There's lots of articles online if you want to go in there. There's one on earthquakes, tsunamis, UFOs, and sky beasts, okay? They mentioned, by the way, in one of these articles, I'm not sure which one, maybe this one, I like this one better, but about how Carl Sagan suggested that there could be creatures living within the atmospheres of planets that, we might not be able to detect. Okay, that was what Carl Sagan said, but not here. No. All right, so let's read a little bit from this article over here. And again, this is because I mentioned it in my last video that I thought people would be like, what is he talking about? Let's hear what he got to say about it. Okay. Trevor James Constable's sky critter theory is perhaps one of the strangest theories advanced as an explanation for the UFO phenomenon. Trevor James Constable was one of the proponents of the theory, claiming that UFOs came from a parallel universe known as Etheria. I don't know if I believe that, and that there were two categories of UFOs. Some were machines and other living creatures. These invisible creatures he called sky critters, and that they live in the atmosphere. Constable claimed to have captured both types of UFO on film while working with James Woods during the 1950s and 60s. He wrote several books on the theory. They Live in the Sky in 1959, the book they don't mention in the Wikipedia article, under the pen name Trevor James, and Sky Creatures, Living UFOs in 1978. Okay? Let's go on, and I don't necessarily agree with his assessment of what all UFOs are. We're going to talk about that a little bit, what my theories are, my hypotheses are. Similar, kind of, but let's go through it here. According to Constable, these bioforms, which are invisible in normal sight, can be recorded by infrared film and special techniques devised by Constable and described in his book, The Cosmic Pulse of Life, the revolutionary biological power behind UFOs. These objects, which Constable claims are an integral part of the overall UFO scene, are biological organisms native to our atmosphere and not extraterrestrial spaceships. When such bioforms enter the spectrum of visible light, they appear rapidly moving. Pulsatory light sources are mutually confused with the more classical structured interdimensional machines known as flying saucers. Trevor James Constable was convinced of the existence of invisible life forms in the upper atmosphere. He christened them a nice and simple name, sky creatures. He aligned his views of UFOs as either ships with Wilhelm Reich's orgone energy. During the summer of 1957, the year of Reich's death, Constable teamed up with Jim X. Woods for the purpose of trying to obtain photographic evidence of his theory. Having chosen a suitable location in the Californian desert between Yucca Valley and Old Woman Springs, the two men set up their camera equipped loaded with infrared sensitive black and white film. The agreed plan was for Constable to stand on a slight eminence and conduct a meditational practice known as the star exercise. Here comes the kind of new age stuff, which I don't know has anything to do with it, but maybe. This was believed to align his body with the Earth's magnetic field while setting himself as a bioenergetic beacon, quote unquote, in the hope that it would attract inquisitive critters into recordable ranges of the IR infrared spectrum. At the same time, Wood would take up a position a little way away and photograph the empty sky against background features generally with Constable in the lower part of the frame. The experiments would normally take place in pre-dawn desert air, the time they decided most conducive for this kind of psychic experiment. By mid-1958, the results of the two men's photographic sessions were clear to see. In just 1 year, they had captured over 100 anomalous images on film. Some showed dark objects, others showed extraordinary ellipses looking like living cells, while still others resembled more classic UFOs. All appeared to be of considerable size and were framed by physical features such as desert landscapes, hills, and peoples. Here's one of them right here with the Orgone cannon aiming at the sky. Okay, a photograph in infrared, right? And he repeated this again and again. They find these blobs, and of course they said it was a film. They, whatever film they bought, it was bad. It didn't matter. They got new stuff, that's bad too. It's all bad. The camera's bad. They had multiple cameras. They all have the same problem. This is the reasons that mainstream academic is because, they can't explain it. So they have to put it down. They have to suppress it. They have to, I saw a video, I think, on let's see if you can find it here. If you type Trevor James Constable, They Live in the Sky, you'll see some interviews with the guy. There's a lot of good stuff in there. You should look at that. But I like this one down here where they're debunking Trevor James Constable, and they show Velikovsky, Emmanuel Velikovsky in the picture. I wonder what, CIA, troll is being, paid to host this channel here. This punk, this sellout, right? Back to the article here. In the Cosmic Pulse of Life, 1976. Oh, let me see. All right, so Constable came to believe that his photograph showed aerial fauna, conscious bioforms of etheric energy of the sort believed in the followers of Rudolf Steiner and studied scientifically with Wilhelm Reich. Okay? In the Cosmic Pulse of Light, 1976, Trevor James Constable published a number of photos showing huge airborne, amoeba-shaped creatures which he dubbed critters, quote-unquote. In all cases, he could not see these creatures with the naked eye, but rather caught the images on infrared film, or he used an 18A filter over the lens of his 35mm camera to block out all visible light and only allow light from the unseen extreme ends of what we call the visible light spectrum. The photos seen below were photographed by Trevor on August 25th, 1957 from the Mojave Desert. So that's this one here. Okay. And this one. Okay. See the blob? They all, look the same in different areas of the film. And, so it's repeated again and again. See all these photos here. You can see more of them. All right. But the idea goes back in time. All right. So let me continue to read here because, I hope you guys are getting this, man. I hope you guys are getting it. They don't mention one little bit of this. Okay, which you'd think would go in here, the guy's books and what he wrote and everything. They left it all out for a reason, guys. I hope you're getting it. I really do. I hope I'm reaching some people out there. It's not all bullshit, but most of it is. So, look, they give these people a hard time. They hide this stuff. They don't want you to think about this stuff. They want you to think about the History Channel and what Carl Sagan said and everything else. All right. Okay. Rather than scan the photo from the book, I made a scan last year at Trevor's house of the original black and white print, which measured only 4.3 inches by 3 inches. The photo was aged considerably over 50 years and was now taken on a sepia tone. Okay, so he describes of it. So, he's trying to explain it, whatever. In the Cosmic Pulse, Trevor labeled each frame of these amoeba-shaped creatures. There are at least two of them photographed as Alpha 1 and Alpha number 2. The shot shown here is labeled Alpha Number 3. He first published these photos in his 1958 book, They Live in the Sky. It's only speculation on my part, but I can't help but believe that these huge living creatures captured on infrared film by Trevor Constable are the same elemental beings that we are referring to as Sylphs at this website. Remember that the name Sylph was coined by the ancient Greeks, who were obviously capable of detecting the presence of these creatures with their ordinary senses. According to Z.S. Livingstone, Sylphs can take on any physical cloud form appearance they wish, or they can remain invisible to the unaided eye. Sylphs exist in the borderlands between third and fourth dimensions, so it doesn't surprise me they possess some attributes of both dimensions. Invisibility, yes, but they have a heat-producing body that will show up in infrared film. Okay, so anybody can produce these results. They talk about Oregon. There's another article over here, all right? Now, let me tell you, I don't want to make this video too long. Let me tell you what I think about it, okay? When I first started hearing some reports of UFO in the UFO, chronicles, one of the first ones was about how, a UFO dropped some sort of slag out of it that sunk a guy's boat. Guy was out on a lake in a boat in New York State, I believe, in like the 1950s or something like that. And a UFO appeared, okay, and it dropped slag on the boat, killed the dog, broke his son's arm, okay, and this was the report of it. So this, to me, it only suggested two things about this UFO. Either it was, them getting rid of the waste like an aircraft does, okay, but it's slag for some reason, okay. It could be, a waste container of the ship, that they're releasing or something like that. Or the thing is alive, it's defecating slag because it's a silicon-based life form, okay? And here's a great place to get, stuff. And one of the things that they need, just like any creatures, even silicon-based life form, they need water. And we got plenty of it here, okay? So there's all sorts of accounts of these fighting, these things fighting in air. If they are creatures, again, the vast sea of space, there's something eating these things. They eat each other like fish, like organisms in the ocean and all kind of stuff. So that was one of the things that led me, because I got this idea before I knew about Trevor James Constable, and before I knew about They Live in the Sky and sky critters and atmospheric organisms. I got this idea in my head, and one of the reasons I got the idea in my head, I'm not the only person who thinks. There's a couple of researchers out there who go through this stuff, but you don't hear about them. You only hear the History Channel stuff, right? For a reason. Okay, it's Carl Sagan, U.S. government apparatchik approved. That's why. All right, get with it. Get with the program. All right. So one of the other accounts of UFOs was the Japanese commercial airline flight on the West Coast in Washington State, who said this giant, tortoise shell, walnut shell shaped thing appeared before him with two little ones. Okay. And it flew around the aircraft. The two little ones went around the aircraft as it was traveling at the speed of sound. Okay? This giant thing was in front of this Japanese commercial, and it was corroborated by another commercial airline pilot, I believe, as well, this particular sighting. And the Japanese pilot said the two little walnut-shaped things, or turtle shell things, went around his plane. Around and around and around his plane. Now, look, guys. If you know about animal behavior, and you studied animal behavior, you know a little bit about it. You know about the mother predators out there in the world when they want to train their offspring on, how to do things or whatever, okay? Whether it be kill things or just play with them like a toy, because we don't know how intelligent these things are, okay? I've heard other researchers say that these people have these experiences of being taken aboard UFOs, because these things communicate in space and in the atmosphere through telepathy. They have extremely strong telepathic brains. And when they try to communicate with another creature like us, our mind can't decipher what they're trying to say exactly, or how to communicate back with this thing, because our brains aren't as powerful as these things. So instead, our brain relates it as this experience, this UFO experience, because this thing is trying to communicate. This is what other researchers say. It's not my theory. I've heard it before from somebody else. I don't know who it was, but I've been studying this thing for a while, okay? So there's these incidents with UFOs that just seem like they defy logic, in the sense that, they're not acting like craft, they're acting more like animals. And if you say, oh, it's impossible, blah, 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 like I said, all these creatures on Earth that live in these inhospitable places and everything. Look, all right, a dragonfly, right? You see the way that, UFOs move and all that kind of stuff, and they say how they make these right angle turns and all this stuff, okay? We got something like this on Earth, okay? It's called a dragonfly, all right? And if I could shrink you down and strap you to the back of a dragonfly, you'd be dead in about 3 minutes, because you wouldn't be able to withstand the G-forces. But somehow the dragonfly is able to withstand the G-forces, and he can move in any direction he likes in an instant. Okay? All right, so let's read a little bit about the dragonfly here, okay? Dragonflies are powerful and agile flyers capable of migrating across the sea, moving in any direction and changing direction suddenly. In flight, the adult dragonfly can propel itself in 6 directions: upward, downward, forward, backward, to left, and right. They have 4 different styles of flight, okay?